Hi, my name is Isser Pleiner and welcome to Chinuch Matters for another video, an educational video on Chinuch. In a previous video, we spoke about the terms, we defined the term Chinuch and we defined the term control. So today I'd like to look at these two terms and understand them better, and to compare and contrast them. Chinuch, as we use in these videos, is not the general way people refer to Chinuch. People refer to Chinuch generally as any action or verbalizing anything that has to do with raising or educating children. Our definition of chinuch is much more narrow. It's really based on the definition that Rashi brings in Chumash. It is the training of someone or something for some future endeavor that is always positive. So it's really not for just the here and now. It's future focused, and it's something which is always positive. Control, on the other hand, is an action which is just for now. It's an action to get a child to do something that shouldn't have a long-lasting effect. It's not future-focused. It's also something which is not constant. It doesn't have to always be. In other words, chinuch, a chinuch action is what you need to do. Chinuch is a chinuch action. Control is something that you need to employ at times associated with a chinuch action. It is something which, it's an action toward a child that could be negative. Examples of a control action would be exerting one's authority, setting in consequences if a child fails to do something, or, believe it or not, an act of control could be giving a child a reward. Again, control is not future focused. It's meant to get a child going and then for chinuch to take over. If you think about it, since sometimes control is negative and a chinuch action is always positive, so it can be tricky. So Rav Yaakovson says that control, if there's a need to do an act of control, it should always immediately precede an act of chinuch. This idea will be developed further on. I guess I would say, unfortunately, parents, teachers mix up the two. They employ acts of control, exerting authority, setting in consequences, for acts of chinuch. And what usually results is the exact opposite of what was intended. It can be a very, very negative situation. To conclude this video, I'd like to share a story that Rav Yaakov brings down in his sefer, in his book, Spare the Child. He writes as follows: an accomplished Talmid Chacham was devastated. His teenage son would no longer daven. He couldn't understand it. He had always put a special focus on training his son to daven properly. Here's how he described it. I always insisted on davening shacharis with my son. I would daven at minyanim that were less convenient for me in order to be with him and supervise his davening. I made sure that he sat at my side all through the davening and insisted that he daven from an open siddur. During davening, I would watch him carefully and make sure that he remained focused. If he ever began daydreaming, I would immediately snap him back into attention. In short, I put all my energy specifically into his davening, and This is where I failed the worst. How did this happen? Was he exposed to some other negative influence that overcame all of my efforts? But the boy's own answer to this painful question was not surprising. I hate davening more than anything else. For years, I've been dreaming of the day when I'll be big enough to skip davening. Just entering a shul makes me sick. I'm sure it's because my father was so on top of me all these years. It made davening so oppressive that I just can't stand it. I hate sitting for so long. I hate thinking about Hashem and Gehenna and all of that. You see, this story describes control at its best. The father thought he was doing a chinuch, but instead he was driving his son away. We'll look at this situation and analyze with more depth in future videos. Thank you for joining me, and have a great day.